Who was your earliest musical influence?
Earliest, I would have to say, just, there were a lot of people all at once, but I would have to say more than anybody, I figured Lonnie Johnson, when I discovered that he was the guy, the most articulate guy on guitar around. And his history too, an interesting guy, just Mr. Jazz, so I like that. Mr. Blues too, you know.
How did you come to know the most sampled artist in recorded history, Mr. Rick James?
Now, see, there's something you can learn from. There's a site online on Facebook. It's the Yorkville 60 site. And we talk about that all the time. There's a number of people that know Ricky on this site. And I was talking to one fella, Mr. Neil Merriweather, who played bass with Ricky a long time. He was with the Minor Birds. And he's online there. And the last thing I said to him last week, because we were talking about how bad Ricky was. And Ricky was always really bad. And I remember when we were kids, he got busted. Now, I figured it was dope, to be very honest. But Neil tells me it was for a B&E. Then, so we all kind of gathered around, and eventually he got out of jail. I think they deported him, I believe. This is what Neil said, and he came back. But in the times that I knew him, we were all really, really young, and hanging around in Yorkville, and Shea Monique's and everything. And of course, back then too, I mean, you could count the number of black people who were in Yorkville at the time, especially that wanted to do music. And he was one of them, So yeah, him. He's a good musician, He's always been a very good musician. I always had a great deal of respect for him. He's a good buddy of mine, I guess. Now, I can consider him one of the people who had a very manic way of living, but
How did you become interested in playing the cello?
Charles Mingus, studying what he did and studying what Ron Carter did, because although they're bass players, they're really cellists, and they're really well-taught melodic people as well, not just holding down the bottom. And so once you learn how to do that, you learn things about the cello. You know all the clefs. You can conduct all kinds of stuff. Transpose.
Would you please offer some of your thoughts on working with Canadian songsmith David Wilcox?
Again, another good musician, and again, really young playing with him. No, actually, I was a father then, just a little while before.
You were a father young.
I was a father young, but I was a father, like when I was with David, I was 21, I guess, 21, and we played a lot of music together and played a lot of different places together and all over Ontario and Quebec and he was always, we always respected each other, how much we knew about our music and how much we were willing to experiment and things like that, because we did a lot of that. And he's a good guy, a good guy.
What was your first television appearance?
That's a hard one. But I guess, let me just think, I guess that would be here. Or to tell you the truth, something that was solely mine was in, just for me, and I was doing like a folk film, was in British Columbia in the 60s. And I remember doing that. And then after that, there's been like a succession of things that I've done.
We used to do the Sunday morning thing at CBC.
Oh yeah, but that wasn't on camera though. That's how I got to know Kathy Young.
Yeah.
Around that time. A little before that time, actually, before she did Sunday morning.
So the dancing gig.
Oh, the
that you
dancing
did.
one?
How long ago was that? What time period would that have been?
It would have been, geez, like 4 years before I met Penny, your mom. And again, in Yorkville. Yeah, it was a place to be, Yorkville, because they went down there because we were the kids that were happening, right? So anytime they needed kids to do anything for CBC television, especially, the kids stuff, they ran down. And I got really lucky because I got to dance in front of a lot of people now that you'd go, wow,
Claudia Berry.
I danced with Claudia
Yeah,
Berry.
she was your
That
partner.
was your,
And
Claudia Berry is.
she was a model, and she went to Germany years later, and she actually did really well as a black model. She was a black girl, really pretty, and she had one hit. She went over there and she actually did a record. She was, I mean, she had a hit which I've never had
In Germany.
In Germany, it was called Boogie Oogie Oogie Oogie.
Dancing
Boogie Oogie
Shoes.
Oogie Oogie Dancing Shoes.
The famous disco
Make
song.
me queen for a night.
Yes.
Okay. And I worked with her. And we danced somewhere at the CBC. There is a film. I hope there's a film or a video of me and her dancing in front of Jim Morrison of the Doors. And the whole Doors, they're all there. And there's a picture there somewhere, I'm sure, because we were right next to them. And so I was very lucky then. That was a total education itself, being around that whole thing at the time. You had to be there. It's nothing like that now. It's a lot of money, yeah, but